Hey everyone, it's Melissa with Build a Better Bakery, here to hang out with you today for our Thursday Fave session. I'm so sorry for the first few seconds of that video. I didn't realize that I was on mute and off video. So here we are. Anyway, so glad to have you here today to talk about a really important subject. Let me double check that y'all can hear me because I've done this before. Okay, perfect. I got the comments open here, so hopefully they're going to be nice to me today, and let me see your comments. So go ahead and throw them in. If I miss them, you know me, I will come back and answer later. Our topic for today is attracting clients for a home baker. This is going to be an important topic for a lot of people who are baking because a lot of us are starting from home. There are way more home bakers than there are storefronts. Obviously, right? There's just more opportunity to start something from home, either as your first step or how you want to run your entire business rather than having a storefront. So one of the main reasons we're going to talk about this today is because I just added a bunch of new people to our group, and there were more than one. There were like 3 or 4 people who said they're starting out and they need clients and they don't know how to find them. So that's why we're going to talk about this today. As always with Build a Better Bakery, whenever you're hanging out in our groups or on our blog or anywhere with us, our main mission is to make baking business simple for you. So that's going to be different for everyone. That's why we cover so many topics. And a lot of it is step-by-step accessible information and genuine support, just like this live session is for you today. Go ahead and throw up a hashtag replay. If you're on the replay, I can see people are already here live. So if you are ever here live, throw up your hashtag live. Let me know you're around. I see Ileana there. Oh yeah, I'm excited for you too. So Ileana is an elite member in our program, and I know a lot of her background. So I'm excited to have her here too, because I know this is something that she's talked about needing help with over the years of working at home and how do I get my name out there and all that good stuff. Okay, so working from home, as you might, this is gonna be like a duh obvious. It's not like working at a storefront where people can just come in during open hours. Some home bakers do run open hours, but that can get really overwhelming. And if you are doing that, you might get to a point where you're burnt out. If you're considering having open hours where people are coming into your home, that can be dicey. So I don't do that. I've never done that, but I have a friend of mine who she runs a cafe, like coffee shop, not a bakery, but she does allow people to come into her home. And she got burnt out after about 6 months of that. It was just too much. So normally bakers aren't going to have something like that out of their house. They're usually baking per order, to order, or baking for events. That's usually the norm. And that can just limit visibility because you're not constantly, in the eye of the community. So today I'm just going to throw up 3 main insights to help you hone in on important areas to focus on. These are the top 3 that I have seen the most over the last 16 years, things that I do every time we move. We're military, so we move every 2 to 4 years. I hit these hard every single time I move because it's going to help you with visibility when you're working from home, and also really accessible, I think, to most people. It's not that it's easy, but it can be made simple and it can be made accessible. So I just want to lay it out. I probably will say one of these and you'll think, oh, that's hard, I don't want to do that. Again, it might not be easy, but it is accessible and doable if you simplify it, which is what we're all about here with Build a Better Bakery. And here in this Facebook group, we're about breaking it down and making it simple for you. Okay. Now, just to lay this out before we get into this, if you want to stay connected with these lives, you can check the events here in the group. I usually post a day or 2 before the topic. It's always at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you can always set an alarm. That doesn't change, but the topics do change every week. You can send me a friend request right here on the Facebook platform. My profile is public, so I can accept it. We can just sort of see, become friends on Facebook. And then the reason being is I can then send you an invite to these events. The group is too big to send to everyone now. So I have to be friends with you for Facebook to send you an invite. Or you can hang out on our email list, which is just a free resource list. I try to send out weekly an email with links to any lives that happened or any extra resources or extra things that you might want. I put those in the email for you once a week. It's kind of like an update. All right, now it might not seem apparent. We're going to hop right into number one. My apologies. It might not seem apparent, but one of the biggest hurdles to getting clients to patron a home business is the lack of trust. If you think back to any time you've tried to buy something from someone, use Facebook Marketplace, anytime you're like buying from a person and not a brand and not a business, right, that has a storefront, there's this element of trust that really needs to be there for you to take that extra step. At least that's how it is for me. You can let me know in the comments, is that how you kind of feel about it too? Is trust kind of a big aspect when it comes to working with the home business? If it is, which I think it is, if it is for you too, that means two things. There's two areas where you can really gain trust quickly by doing some stuff in the background for your business. So number one would be getting all your permits and training that you need to sell safe food. That's pretty standard anywhere you live in the world. You're probably going to have a permitting agency that's going to do a health inspection on your home. Not always, but if you can get that and it's offered, that looks really good up on the top of your social profile or your website saying that you have a health inspected kitchen, even if it's from home. So getting that under your belt, or a Serve Safe certification or whatever it is, so that people know that you understand what safe food is, that's going to help the trust factor. It might be an extra cost for you. Yes, Serve Safe sometimes is free, not always. Health inspection permitting, sometimes free, not always. So yes, it might be a business expense, but that's what business expenses are. You pay them, you deduct them from your taxes, tax time. That's just part of it. So I would suggest just checking those off and making sure that's right on the top of your social or website, so everybody knows you have an inspected kitchen, an insured kitchen if you have insurance, liability, food insurance. I really apologize. Okay. we're gonna have a day, I guess. My throat. So definitely look into those. This also means, on top of the health stuff, this also means protecting your clients' rights and being very transparent about how you run your business. This is a biggie because I don't see a lot of people doing this, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I know that whenever I'm going to spend money with someone, I want to know exactly what's going to happen if they don't follow through, or if I don't follow through, or whatever. I want everything to be laid out, and I want to feel like they have my best interest in mind. So a really simple way to do that is using even just like a general contract that we have in our shop. It's an example of a baking business contract. It's general enough that you can use it for $1 sale all the way up to thousands of dollars for weddings. It's completely comprehensive. So having a contract like that on hand that you can post on your website, that you can post on your social as a picture, whatever it is, it lets the customers know that you have their back, number one, and that you've actually thought about what's going to happen if there are problems, and I have a solution, and here it is. And it's just a great trust builder before they ever even meet you, for them to know that you've cared enough to just put a little bit of effort into this part of it so they feel protected. Now, if you want more than a general contract, you can also add on other contracts to your repertoire if you want other types of interactions to be protected too. Like a partnership contract, if you want to work with, do pop-ups at other locations or have partnerships with other businesses, partnership contract is amazing for that. It's also very versatile. It's basically like B2B stuff. So just having those other businesses feel protected when they work with you, just as a regular client would feel. And you can even have something like an item rental contract if you loan out decor or table settings. If there's things that people need to return to you, having that on hand too is important, because then they know what is required of me, what am I going to be charged if I break this thing, XYZ. So it's really a lot about customer service on the front end before anyone even buys anything from you. We have all three of these contracts ready to go. If you need them, they're customizable and they're printer friendly. I don't like wasting ink around here. It's too expensive. I'm not into that. So I don't really make things that are very ink heavy, colored ink heavy, because I just don't. That's for the people on Etsy. That's not what I do. I like printer friendly things, especially if someone else has to print it. That would be annoying to have to use a bunch of colored ink, right? And they're bundled on the website to save you some cash too. So if you don't like all of them, you don't have to have them all, but if you like all of them, they're already bundled for you. So number one, trust is a huge, huge factor. Hey, Allie, no worries. You don't have to apologize to me. You don't have to apologize about being late. You guys have a partnership contract template available. So you actually got that because you joined as a deluxe member. So I can look back or just send it over to you again, but you actually were given that, Ileana, in your original email after you signed up. Okay, alrighty. So number 2, you have to apologies for my nails. They started shipping yesterday and I haven't taken it off yet. So my apologies. All right, number 2, if you're a home baker, people are not like hanging out at your house and inside your house who are going to be potential clients, right? That's not where they hang out. So you need to go where they are. And this can be done in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I do, but this is like, think out of the box. If there's something else coming to mind, bring it up in the group, send me a DM, whatever. But don't, these are just some very simplistic examples. Because they're not hanging out by your house, that's where your business is. You're going to get a lot more traction much faster if you can go to them where they are at least once in a while. You don't have to be everywhere every day, but as long as you're out there, putting your face out there, putting your brand out there, putting your products out there, that's going to count exponentially over something, maybe even like social, to be honest with you. Number 3 is going to deal with social, so it is important. But number 2, physically going where they are is important. And you can just think of it like a useful networking opportunity. If you're introverted, if you don't like doing this, I get it. It is something, if you want to grow your business, you're probably gonna have to figure out a way to do it that feels okay for you. That might be smaller events, that might be taking multiple people with you, having someone else deal with the money. You just talk about the product, whatever it is. But eventually you're probably gonna have to get out there and talk to some people because relationship building is part of business and that's just part of it. So hopefully you can find a way to make that work. What this is doing is it's giving these potential clients or past clients a chance to see you in person. That's a big deal. Meet you and trust you on the spot. Again, think about how long that would take online. You can do that in a 10-minute conversation in person. That could be a customer for life. It really can add up quickly when we do in-person events. The other opportunity that they have besides just meeting you and trusting you is that they can try possibly smaller products and hopefully place larger orders in the future. So let's say you are a wedding cake person and you deal regularly with hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in sales. What if they've never had your cake before? What if you went to a networking event and you were selling just little cupcakes, $5 cupcakes, whatever it is? That's when they're going to get to meet you. That's when they get to taste the product. And then those larger orders come after. Let's say all you do is sell cupcakes. Okay, well, they're doing that one cupcake today, and then they're going to order 4 dozen cupcakes for their kid's birthday next week. So just give them a chance to get in there and try your stuff. There's some intricacy to vendor events and pop-ups and networking opportunities. There's like a list of questions that I usually ask myself before I sign up and while I'm trying to sign up and what's going on with them, how to prepare, etc. That is all inside something called the Vendor Event 101 guide. That's also in the shop. It's not the purpose of today's live, so I'm not going to go over that list. But I do want you to know that every event is not made equally. I remember, I think the worst one I ever did was probably a Shopkins themed, what was that? It was like a pageant, like a children's pageant. I don't really understand it. I just know that it didn't vibe with me. It didn't vibe with what I was selling. It was very loud in there. And I found out after the fact, because I didn't ask, I found out after the fact that it was like not very popular the 2 years that it had been done before, and the vendors didn't really sell anything. And there was a lot of like questions that I could have asked beforehand and I didn't. So I wasted a bunch of money and I wasted a ton of my time. I didn't make hardly any sales. And I really, really did not enjoy sitting there. So they are not created equal. Do not take every opportunity because you will probably get burnt out. You'll probably waste product. So that is not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting to pick those outside opportunities out of your home with care and making sure they vibe with you and that they're not going to overwhelm you. So not too many at a time. If you're just starting out and you're not sure how to plan for events, etc., definitely maybe shoot for like one per quarter to get started. That could be enough for now just to get your toes in the water. And as we come into the holiday season, this is really important because you're going to have a lot of opportunities for vendor events. You're going to have to pick and choose which ones are best for you. And then also try to not overwhelm yourself when you probably have other family stuff going on, etc. So picking the best ones, that's the way to go. And because we're talking about vendor events here with this particular tip of number 2, I should mention that I had offered that vendor event 101 guide as a freebie. This is the reason I'm bringing it up is because you'll probably see the post in the group. It was just a couple days ago, and I mentioned if you wanted that contract bundle from the shop, which was talked about in tip 1, if you just want it done for you, I mentioned that if you get that, you can get the vendor event 101 guide for free, and I would just email it over to you. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I don't want to get any messages of people being upset that they missed that, because I understand it's weird that it expired yesterday and I'm mentioning it today. And it's in the group. So I don't want anyone to feel bad about that. And technically it is expired, but if you do want the vendor event 101 guide for free, I will still honor that. Just DM me directly for that contract bundle link. You can go claim it on your own. And once you've claimed it, just let me know and I will email that vendor event guide over to you. I want, honestly, as many people as possible to have this information before the holiday season, because this is when it's really kicking in. And to get that information right before you could potentially make thousands of dollars of sales at an event, have multiple sellout events in a row. I want that for you. So I'm just going to honor it. You can DM me. We'll just say under the table, if you saw this live, you get that. Okay. Because nobody wants to go to an event. If you've ever been to an event, you know, it's a ton of work. And if it flops, it is like a yikes, like a huge yikes, and it feels really bad. I don't want that for y'all. What this guide does is it helps you from the beginning. We talked about that list, choosing the right events before and cutting out the bad ones before you ever go through messing around with them, all the way down to what to do after the event in certain circumstances. And then it even has checklists for indoor and outdoor setups, because I get a lot of questions about what's the difference between the two. I believe there are some recommendations for tools and materials in there as well for that. Okay. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Allie. Okay, I'm gonna swing back. Thanks for commenting. And I will get with you about all that info. Eliana says, how do you find out where they are physically? So finding out where they're hanging out, a lot of times it can be done by just working with a like pop-up opportunity or event opportunity, looking at who attends, and then looking at your current demographic of who you sell to. So let's say there's three, okay, let's say there's just a simple example. Let's say there's 2 cafes in your town. I know you have more because you're in Miami, Florida, right? I hope I didn't get that wrong. And let's say there are 2 cafes. One of them does like English tea time, and one of them does like bubble tea. And let's say your demographic is like 40 to 60-year-old business women who cater corporate events, right? Which one of the 2 do you think might be best if you had to pick from one of the 2? Okay, so just look at the demographic of who's there, and then maybe try to schedule a pop-up or something with that business. If you're doing a vendor event, let's say one vendor event is a kids event, and there's going to be like lots of kids treats, and there's going to be slides, and it's going to be right after lunchtime, and look at the time and the date and what's going on with it. And then let's say another event is a ladies brunch, and that's where they're coming to just like hang out, and they are asking for vendors to be there. So if your demographic is 40 to 60-year-old women who do corporate events, you're probably going to get a better experience at the brunch event because they'll have time to talk to you and hang out. So even though they may have been at the children's event, they're probably going to be not thinking about work, not thinking about corporate stuff, just dealing with their kids, and it's going to be loud, and people don't want to pay a lot of money for their kids' stuff, right? So let's also say like maybe your products are higher end, then I would go for the brunch. But let's say you focus on kids' birthday parties then you need to be at the kids event, because everybody, all the kids are going to see you. You can make connections with kids, which is great. Parents love that. You can just be more in the environment. So just think about your demographic and try to look at the current clientele of other places. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Now, number 3, we talked about 1, help them trust you. 2, let me get that wrong, go where they are. And 3, stay current on social. And some of you are like, dun, dun, dun. I know it can be a doozy, okay? I personally also have trouble with this. When you're working in the kitchen, when you've got other stuff going on, being on your phone, thinking of like something quirky to say on Instagram and like taking the Instagram worthy photos, that's hard. Like totally get it. But I will say there are ways to conquer social when you understand using the platform as a business, which is completely different than using it as just a regular person. So when you understand a few key points to that, and then in a nutshell, essentially knowing that content can really count. And if you make content like that, you can make less content over time. So if you make content that works, you don't have to make as much, if that makes sense. So make impactful pieces rather than a bunch of stuff going out all the time. Because if you learn about the platforms, getting interaction and going back to certain posts, that can be just as beneficial to creating those connections that you're looking for on social as creating a new piece of content that doesn't do super well a bunch of times a day. So there is a way to do this, but if you don't know much about it, it can feel overwhelming. If you choose to not have that consistent presence in the community, like events and going out and doing pop-ups and partnerships and all that kind of stuff, or similar to like a storefront, they can have people walk in and talk to them. If you choose not to do those things, you are missing out, and then also not using social, you are missing out on the social aspect of it being a mostly free marketing tool. So going to events is not necessarily going to be free. Pop-ups and partnerships could come with fees or wholesale pricing or other things that take money out of your income. And storefronts, of course, rent. Okay, there's like lots of bills when it comes to storefronts. So the nice thing about the social is that it can be mostly free. And that's something that I don't want you to miss out on. So if you're not going to do the other ones, definitely think about this one. And I highly recommend getting down with a simple strategy, just coming to terms with this is part of my job. I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to make it impactful. And it's going to be a long-term commitment of something. You're going to mess up on it. That's okay. But something that I'm thinking this is going to be part of my life now. And I want to take part in this. I want to make networking fun because you can do it. And again, it's not going to be perfect all the time, but you're showing up and that's what's important. Now, I know not all of us are copywriting geniuses or photography masters, and no one is expecting you to be one of those. When we look out into the world, we see all these content creators and we think, oh my gosh, like they're so good at that. How did they get so good at that? It's probably they took a course and they've been practicing. And that's pretty much it, right? They talked to an expert about it. They got the main tips that they need, and now they're just practicing. So that's how you can do it too. Again, it might not be easy, but it can be simple and you can achieve it if you actually take the steps to work towards that. Now, as I mentioned, social is going to be a ton easier if you can take maybe a short lesson on both of those, copywriting and photography. Those two subjects specifically, that's just for me what has made social easier to deal with, knowing how to say something maybe a little more impactfully, shorter. I like to talk, so mine get long. I got to cut it down. How to make the writing a little bit more interesting, and then how to take a nice photo that looks good on social, right? Just those two things, because that's kind of what social media is about for the most part, and that's going to help you connect quickly. Circling back to the idea of we're all about less content with more impact. We don't want you to do more. We want you to do the right one and then work with that rather than a bunch of different things. So your marketing coach, Autumn, if you don't know Autumn, she's in this group once in a while. But she spends most of her time in the elite program, just as your photography coach, Claire, does as well. And when they work with bakers inside the elite program, they've covered every single one of these subjects that I've talked about, plus more. So all of the basics are in there, plus the extra basics. And the nice thing about the way they do this is they've created the trainings for you, and then they take questions from those elite members on those subjects at any time. You can post in our group, you can comment on the video. So it's a really easy way to get the info and then ask your questions if you need it. Okay. So that means it's all sitting in there ready for you to access 24/7. If you're in the elite program already, if you've forgotten that they're in there, or if you want to join us, they're in there. On top of that, still on the social aspect here, on top of that, we love to run a vault challenge each month that helps the elite to use that vault information to its fullest. So sometimes you forget something's in there or you haven't watched it in a while. We like to run a challenge focusing on some of that information to keep it fresh for you and get you in there and using the tools that you already have. So this month, at the end of August, Autumn's going to show you all how to make content step by step, which doesn't happen very often. Usually it's all broken up on the internet. You're not really sure what's going on with it. She's going to show you how to make content step by step and how to do it quickly, making quick content with a branded twist. So she's going to be hitting each of those nails on the biggest aspects of creating impactful content for you at the end of the month. That challenge is going to be live, but it's also going to be stored for a short time inside the group. So if you can't make it to every video, it will be in there for you to look at. Any tier of the elite membership has access to the entire vault and the challenge. So don't wait around. If you'd appreciate an expert showing you exactly how to stay consistent and visible on social, I know that it can be a struggle. So this is perfect for beginners or people who want a full on, how do I make content? All of that information is in there. Super helpful for home bakers and storefronts alike. If you have any questions, and if anyone's curious, I believe the silver tier, which is the lowest tier, I think it's at $39 a month right now. Not too shabby if you want to learn how to use social media and get the basics down, right? And having an expert show you how to make content quickly, that's pretty awesome. You can stay longer, you can just stay for a month, whatever, right? It's like a subscription, so it goes month to month. Totally up to you. That's the lowest tier. There's other ones that include other add-ons and courses and things. Up to you what kind of support you need. If you have any questions about these three things, we talked about 1, let them trust you. Show them how to feel safe with you. 2, go where they are. Make it a point to be a part of the community. 3, stay current on social because you don't have a storefront. So you have to show, hey, I'm open, I'm here. This is what we've been up to, making it less posting, but more impactful. 3 things. Again, if you have those questions, or if you want more information about what's going on, what we talked about today, comment here as some of our members already have, or feel free to direct message me if you feel more comfortable with that. I'd love to get you the information you need so you can get started on your next goal rather than waiting around not being sure how to do it. I want to just hand it to you so that you can make choices and empower yourself with your business. After about 16 years in the baking industry for me, it's been probably too long, but I'm still here. And about the same amount of time for our other expert coaches in their respective industries. It's kind of crazy. They're hitting 16, 20-year marks. So we have a lot of love to share and a lot of support to share. So we've got a lot of, just aged wisdom on certain aspects of what you're doing, but we need to get in more of a high touch situation so we can give you the information you need, learn about you more deeply, have maybe a consult with you, talk about your business, and then be able to hand you what you really need to get to your next goal. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you soon if you're ready to create some wins together in August. I know it's kind of a busy month, but we have a lot for you this month. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. If anybody, I'm seeing some people need me to get back with them. So I'm gonna log off here and then I will send you a message, okay? I am off to prep some sweets for my freeze dryer because that's my new little thing. And I run my freeze dryer when I'm baking and I can do 2 things at once and it's kind of cool. So that's what I'm gonna go do today. Pop into the group with your questions, send me a DM and we will connect. All right. Bye, everybody.